For 2023, there are a couple of really promising naval games on the horizon. In this niche genre, there sadly aren't that many games. So these are the most promising ones, these are the ones that have been announced. There might still be some games that suddenly pop up, but we'll just have to wait out the year and see what we're going to have coming up. For now, these are the four most promising ones. Starting off with Sea Power. This game is from the same developers as Cold Waters, the submarine game that you might be familiar with. This game is set in the Cold War era, we're talking 60s to 80s, and hostilities have unfortunately broken out in Central Europe. This means that it's up to you to control either the Warsaw or NATO forces in this conflict. There are all sorts of different scenarios that you can play out, and there will also be a dynamic campaign. It says it has a theater scale, so you can expect to have to fight a lot of different battles in a lot of different scenarios, with dynamic weather as well. Weather is going to dictate what sort of engagement you're going to have, how smooth your operation is going to run. The game features real-time combat, but as you can see, if there are sort of lulls in the combat, then you can always speed up time a little bit. What I like about this game is that it has units that you generally don't get to control in strategy games or naval games. There are very few games like these out there. The closest one that comes to mind is Dangerous Waters, and that is really, really old. Now, the game has scalable realism, so you can make it as complex or as realistic as you want. And this also will feature situations such as weapon malfunctions, advanced sensor modeling, and various other issues that will make the game a lot more difficult. Thankfully, we're going to have an in-game tutorial to teach you the ropes, and you can save anytime, anywhere to make sure that if that attack that you have going on doesn't quite pan out, you can still try it again. It has over 50 original ships and over 30 original aircraft, so they have added a lot of stuff. And it's not just naval units. We're also going to see land facilities, real-world terrain, and just to make sure that you did everything right, there is a post-battle replay. If they do that right, it can yield beautiful cinematics. When exactly in 2023 we can expect the game is currently not known. There's no release date, so we'll just have to be patient and see when the game is going to announce more about its current planned release. Next up, set a few decades earlier, Task Force Admiral. This is a single-player game, and you are to take command of a US carrier task force during World War II. Now, you're the Admiral, and this means you're in charge of absolutely everything. Ships, air wings, formations, damage control, weapon usage. You decide everything. This means that the game is going to have a lot of depth. It is fortunately pausable, so that you can adjust situations or you can adjust damage control. You can dictate what sensors are operational and which ones are not. Whether you want to send that flight of dive bombers out or pull them back in to make sure they get a different type of armament. There are going to be over 90 different classes of ships and over 40 types of aircraft. Now, important to note, this is Volume 1 of Task Force Admiral, and that means you're only going to be able to control the US fleet initially. Whether the Volume 2 or DLCs or how they're going to produce this is going to allow you to control other nations is unknown. The game is going to have an advanced ballistic model, so that gunfire is not just simply pointing in a straight line and hoping for the best. You're going to have to work for your hits. Like Sea Power, you can decide how complex you want this game to be. It has fully customizable realism and difficulty, so if there are certain tasks that you'd rather outsource to the AI, or if there are certain things that you'd rather not have in your game, or maybe do have in your game, such as removing the ability to pause, then you can do so. And, again, like Sea Power, you can do a post-battle replay. You can have a close look at how your aircraft were doing, what exactly went wrong in that one operation where the destroyer was supposed to engage the other surface elements of the enemy fleet, and exactly how beautifully you were able to strike that enemy carrier. Task Force Admiral is expected somewhere in the second to third part. So let's say quarter 2, quarter 3 of 2023. An exact release date is not known. And with a game like this and all its complexities, I'd rather have the developers take more time rather than rush their game out, or that we're going to get another early access / beta title. If you don't want to be limited to one specific era, then Rule the Waves 3 is going to be for you. This is a simulation following naval ship design, fleet management and naval warfare. Now, it is not going to appeal to everyone, I'm going to say that right from the get-go, because it is what you see right here. It is not very graphically heavy like the other two games. It is, in that sense, also not like Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. It is something really very in-depth, but the way that it's presented might not appeal to everybody, and I think that's a shame because it looks extremely promising. This game ranges from 1890 to 1970. That's a hell of a range. It means you're going to go all the way from the steam era to the missile age, and everything in between. It's dreadnoughts to supercarriers. You're going to see every single phase of naval warfare. And this also includes submarines. Now, the campaign starts are up to you. You can go in 1890, 1900, 1920 or 1935. And these campaigns run all the way till 1970s. You'll be designing your ships, doing research, making sure that you stay within your naval budget, and at the same time you're also dealing with, and I quote, interfering Kaisers, presidents or naval ministers, as well as you're going to be stuck with a couple of naval treaties that you're going to adhere to. To make sure that you keep up to date with what other navies are doing, you can do some espionage, and you have, as you can see here on the screen, a lot of different options to play with. The USA, Great Britain, Germany, France, Russia, Italy, Japan, Spain, Austria, Hungary, or China. It is a really wide range of ships. Rule the Waves 3 started out as an expansion for Rule the Waves 2, but became apparently such a big project that it is now going to be its own game. Like I said earlier, the graphic style might not appeal to everybody, but please give this game a shot when it comes out. We can expect this in the first quarter of 2023. Finally, we have Modern Naval Warfare. This is a hardcore submarine simulator. It places you in the command of a SSN 774 Virginia class, and what role exactly you want to take aboard is up to you. If you decide you want to be the overall captain and just outsource every single station to AI crew members, you can do that. But you can also involve your friends and have them man stations, because this is a multiplayer game. You might be placed in command of the sonar screen, you might be the navigator. It is entirely up to you and your friends how you play this game, or rather, how you run this simulator. The simulator is also closely linked to the real world, as it's going to involve real-life weather, traffic and marine life. Now, a question I still have about the game is, how is that going to work in tandem with the time acceleration that we know is in the game? How do you use real-life shipping information and then accelerate time? Maybe they know where a certain ship is going, maybe they don't. You get to experience a very, very deep subsim, and with this, it is going to be a learning curve. This is not going to be an easy simulator to pick up. Especially with things like a deep sound channel, thermal layers, bottom bounds, convergence zones, and electromagnetic propagation. You're going to have to do your homework if you really want to perform well in this sim. The moment that you actually find the enemy and are able to engage them, you can pick from a wide array of weaponry, torpedoes, mines, and missiles. Now, even though you're seeing a drone in this particular bit of footage, that is just for the cinematic trailer. In the actual game, you're just going to be controlling a submarine. As this is also a simulator that's going to be exported to various businesses and or navies, there will be expansions / DLCs, including potentially other submarines. This means that later on we might also see other platforms come to life. There's no exact release date known yet for this game, Modern Naval Warfare, but it is expected somewhere later in 2023. So I'm expecting it in the third or fourth quarter of the year. Now again, these are the games that I think hold the most promise. I have already done a more in-depth video about Task Force Admiral and Modern Naval Warfare, and I will link those down below in the description. Which of these games are you looking forward to playing? What other titles would you recommend to people who like to play naval games? Or perhaps you have a great idea for a naval game, and as such, you might be able to inspire a studio. Leave your ideas down below in the comments, leave your thoughts down below in the comments, leave your other naval games down below. You can also find links to the Steam pages, insofar as available for all the games, down below in the description. Add the games to your wishlist and you're going to be making some developers really happy. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, I'll see you soon for more.